Okay? The title of this presentation is Once the School Bell Stops Ringing, Options for a Meaningful Life in the Community. Our presenters are Grace O'Connor and Ann Garcia. Grace and Ann are patient advocates at the Adult Down Syndrome Center. Presenting with them are Jenna Richards and her mother Annette, and Elizabeth Bazarek and her mother Audrey. Please give them a warm welcome.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm not exactly used to these microphones, so can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. Thank you all for coming today. It's good to see you all. And we are here today to talk about what happens when school is done. Some of you may have already made that transition. Some of you may be planning for it. But I'm guessing that for a lot of you, that process has not been very easy or very straightforward. So what does happen when school is done? Many families experience what is commonly known in the disability world as the cliff. For all those years, you're in school, or your child is in school, working on IEP goals and surrounded by a team of teachers and disability professionals who are encouraging them to make progress. And then they graduate and all that structure, all that support disappears. So what happens next? Unfortunately, there is not a seamless transition between school and adult services in Illinois. Illinois actually does have services for adults, but because of the state's ongoing fiscal crisis, they have had to establish a waiting list, and some of our patients have been waiting for years. So what do you do in the meantime? Where do you find information? Who do you call for help? The responsibility for answering many of these questions falls on the shoulders of families for the most part. Do you remember those years during school when the teachers did most of the work of planning and gathering all the resources that they needed to be able to teach? Well, now that's all of you. That's on all your shoulders now. And you're going to have to figure out where to find resources and what kind of arrangements that you want to make that work for you and your family. That can be a pretty overwhelming, daunting situation for a lot of families. For many, it can feel just very alone. And though you may feel alone in this process, you aren't. If you take away nothing else today, I want you to take away that knowledge that there are many people who are willing to help you. Help is available, and many other families are going through this process. And many of those families are generous about sharing what they find along the way. In fact, we have two families who are going to be speaking to you in a few minutes, and they're going to be sharing some of what they have been doing since they've been making that transition from school to the adult world. So what can parents do to make this process a little easier for their adult children? First, you can sign your child up for services, such as government programs like SSI or Medicaid, especially Medicaid, because that is the main funding source for disability services in Illinois. You can also make sure that your child is on that waiting list, otherwise known as PUNS. And if you don't know what PUNS is or how to sign up, we did bring some PUNS brochures with us today. They're over there on the chair, along with some other conference handouts, so you're welcome to stop by and pick those up before you leave. And Grace and I will also be happy to answer any questions for you or help you through that process. So one of the other most important things you can do during this period of waiting is to make sure that your young adult is staying active. That means active physically, active socially, active intellectually. Just because you are waiting for services doesn't mean that your lives have to stop. Waiting does not have to mean standing still. So, looking for ways to be active and engaged, pursuing your interests, working towards goals, these are all things that you can do whether you have state funding or not. Now, why is it so important to stay active? Well, think of the alternative. Your child might be at home with a lot of unstructured time and not really having much chance to practice all those skills that they learned in school, perhaps not spending as much time with friends or getting out of the house as much. This can put your child at risk for developing some health problems that come when you're not as active, if you have more of a sedentary lifestyle. It can also make you feel more lonely and isolated, and those can be risk factors for depression. And at the Adult Down Syndrome Center, we have seen how closely intertwined physical and mental health are. And the programs that we offer at the clinic do address both of those needs. So you can give your children a good foundation for building their future, whatever that is, by helping them to stay healthy. And if you think about it, you're not going to have a whole lot of energy to pursue your dreams, if you're not feeling well. So you want to make sure that they are ready for whatever comes next. During this waiting time, you also have a lot of time to talk about what their dreams are for their future. What do they want to do with their lives? What goals do they have? Health is one piece of that. You want them to be healthy, but there's lots of other considerations. You may have certain goals that you would like for them, and they may have their own dreams. But as you get into the process of discussing this, you may find that you have different ideas of what their future should look like than they do. And having these discussions with your child, it helps to be able to distinguish between what you want and what they want. This can be a very tricky issue to navigate. But try as much as you can to listen to what your child wants and to be respectful of it, because it is their life after all. One of our patients had a very clear idea of what he wanted his future to look like. He had decided he was going to move out, get his own apartment, and lead a very independent life. And his parents were not quite so sold on that idea. But they did not dismiss it outright. Instead, they suggested that he list out everything that he would need to do to make that happen. What did he need to put in place? And if he were living in his apartment by himself, what would he need to do to be able to live there successfully? They were thinking that maybe as he did this, he would start to realize that living all by himself in an apartment might involve a lot more responsibility than he had perhaps realized. In Illinois, the standard now, something they have newly implemented, is called person-centered planning. That means that the plan is supposed to reflect the interests and the wishes of the person with a disability. This shift reflects the desire we all have to make choices about our own lives. And for parents, you have a chance to support your children in their choices. You also have a chance to shape those choices a little. You can help them make sure the goals they are setting are attainable. You can make sure that your own concerns, you want to make sure they're safe. You want to make sure they have enough care. You make sure they have enough food in their refrigerator. You can make sure that your concerns are also addressed. Now, if you've had other children who have left home already, you know that the process of shepherding a child into adulthood is challenging. It can be really hard to let go. And that process may be even more fraught when the child has a disability. It's hard to know sometimes where to draw the lines, when to intervene, how much independence is appropriate. But regardless of how much independence your child wants or is able to manage on their own, they can have fulfilling lives if you build in the things which are important to them. I want to make an important distinction here. That doesn't necessarily mean just fill up their days with a ton of activities and keep them busy, 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 busy. That means looking for what they actually like to do, where they feel useful, where they feel valued. There's a difference between being busy and having a sense of purpose. So you want to look for those things that are going to tap into their deeper dreams, the things that they would like to build for themselves for their future, the things that are really meaningful for them. And you might find, too, as you're thinking about this, some of it may be about connecting with programs, but some of those things may be things they can find at home, feeling valued at home, having responsibilities at home. So today, we want to give you some ideas about different areas that you can look, places that you can explore as you're trying to build this meaningful life with your child. The goal is to try to keep them as active and engaged in their communities as possible during this time where they're still waiting for any kind of funding from the state. Now, some of the ideas we're talking about today may not be relevant to your family, but all of these areas provide opportunities for them to stay engaged and active socially, mentally, and physically. I would want to point out that there is no one-size-fits-all solution here. You can pick and choose what works best for your family. So one area you could look into is continuing education. You know, a lot of young adults graduate from high school and they see a lot of their friends and the people that they went to school with going off to college. Well, now people with Down syndrome can also have options to be able to go to college. In fact, there are programs that are specifically designed for people with developmental disabilities. College programs may not be appropriate for everyone, and you're going to have to make those decisions as a family about what works, whether your child might not be interested, or it may just not be a good fit. But if you are interested, we have put together some handouts with a lot of college-related resources over there, so you're welcome to pick one of those up if you want to look into that more. I would say that in general, it's a good way to keep them building on those skills that they work so hard on in high school. It's a good way to keep their mind active, being able to learn new things, have new challenges, and to be able to prepare for future work. Now, speaking of work, for a lot of us, when we think of adult life, we think of having some kind of a job or some kind of an occupation. And during their school years, children spend a lot of time preparing for the world of work. And paid employment is right there on the top, right? That's the big goal, that we're all trying to get our children to be able to get paid jobs. Well, paychecks are nice, and greater financial independence is certainly a good thing, but work provides many other benefits as well. Work can provide opportunity to feel useful, to feel part of a group, to receive recognition, to grow. Work for some people is about more than money. It's about a sense of purpose. So when you and your child are considering employment options, you might also want to consider why they want to work. What do they value about work? If they've had jobs in the past, what did they like best? What they value about work they may be able to find through other kinds of activities as well. So volunteer work, for instance, may provide some of the same sources of satisfaction as paid employment. And knowing what is important to your son or daughter can help you identify not just the kind of job they might like, but other places they may be able to find some of those same kinds of challenges. Recreational programs, well, a lot of you may have discovered those already, and I will say that we are very fortunate in the Chicago area to have so many options. You know, I've talked to people from other parts of the country and other parts of the world. Some places, there might be one Down syndrome organization in the entire state, no special recreation association programs. If you're in another country, there might be only one Down syndrome organization in that whole country. So we forget sometimes just how lucky we are that we have so much. So these are maybe some obvious suggestions or suggestions that you have already explored, but there are lots of places that you can go. The special recreation programs in almost every community, Special Olympics, art and music classes. We offer a lot of classes at the Adult Down Syndrome Center as well. There's lots of theater programs in the area, camps. The importance of this is because it's a relatively easy way for you to keep them doing things they like and keeping them active. You can, some of the things you can find too, Ups for Downs and down in the South End both have inclusive theater programs. NADS offers a PAC program which can allow them to develop leadership skills but also do some volunteering. And there's also just many other resources in the Chicago area, and we've actually put together a resource list if you want to pick one of those up. For social activities, some of the special recreation associations also offer social programming like dances or movie nights. And we offer social classes at the Adult Down Syndrome Center. And then you could also plan your own gatherings. Like I know one group of young women who get together periodically and have a bunco night. And they just rotate to different people's houses. And that's a very easy and inexpensive way to help them to keep in touch with their friends. So we've given you a lot of different ideas here, and I know you're saying, well, that's all very well and good, but isn't this going to cost me a lot of money, and is this really realistic? So we have put together some options here that are just ways to minimize some of the costs. So you can explore scholarship opportunities. A lot of special recreation associations offer scholarships. There are a lot of scholarships available for colleges. Ups for Downs and the National Down Syndrome Society both offer scholarships specifically for people with Down syndrome to go to college. There's also an organization called Ruby's Rainbow, which raises money just to provide the means for people to go on to post-secondary education if they want. Other ways, things you can look at, churches sometimes offer free programs. Some of the day programs in the area also allow people to go part-time, so you might be able to go 1 or 2 days a week, and that might be more affordable. Or, organize your own outings. That's the other possibility. It should be possible, as you look through all these different areas, to piece together the things that make sense for you and your family, that are affordable, that you can manage, and that will allow your child to have a full and fulfilling life, even if you don't have state funding. And lastly, if you're wondering about where you can go for more help, you can call either me or Grace. We are the patient advocates at the Adult Down Syndrome Center. I put our numbers up there. You're welcome to call us anytime. We have the resource list I mentioned earlier. And then you can call your caseworker at your independent service coordination agency. They are disability professionals and they know a lot about the resources in the area. But probably your biggest resource is other families. Everyone is going to be gathering up their own knowledge and experiences and resources, and a lot of people are willing to share with each other. And there are lots of ways to connect with other parents. And just less than a minute, I'm going to turn the floor over, and you're going to hear from some of those families. But there are lots of other ways to connect as well. There are, as a Gather and Learn parent group that we offer at the Adult Down Syndrome Center. There are lots of Down syndrome organizations that offer resources for parents. There's lots of ways to connect online. Ups for Downs has a Yahoo e-group where you can post questions and talk to other family members. There's also Facebook groups. There's a group in Illinois called Illinois Parents of Adults with Developmental Disabilities. So there's plenty of ways to find other families, and I really encourage you to reach out and help each other. And now I will turn the floor over to Grace, who is going to introduce our families who are here to share with us today.
Don't want you to read my cheat sheet.
Sorry. So while they're fixing this up, I want to introduce our next speakers. This is Audrey and her daughter Elizabeth, or as I call her, Liz.
Yes.
I have known Liz since she was a little tiny baby from early intervention. Audrey and Liz is 23 years old. She grew up with her mom, dad, and sister in Edison Park on the north side of Chicago. She attends community college, volunteers, and participates in many recreational and sporting activities. So take it away, Audrey and Liz.
Thanks. Okay. Hang on. Thank you for inviting us. We're just going to be echoing so much of what Ann said, but just our personal experiences. Like Grace said, Liz is 23, soon to be 24, and I'm not quite sure where the time went, but here we are. The moment she was born, we were preparing for this age of being independent as much as possible, going to school. I just remember my husband calling all the schools in the area, seeing if anybody would be able to accommodate our daughter. And we're Chicago born and raised Catholic, and we knew that the Catholic school system in the Chicago area had no programs. And my husband is a Chicago policeman, so we had to live in the city. And being Chicago born, raised Catholic, you're like, oh no, a public school, Chicago public school. We were like, oh no. But I'm here to tell you, it was beautiful. We had great experiences. The school system was awesome. But so much of it is also, well, not also, it is dependent on you. Building your own network and volunteering at the schools and getting to know the teachers and doing as much as you can to facilitate your son or daughter through the process. We were very lucky in our neighborhood. Well, like Grace said, we met Grace when Liz was an infant in Pathways in Glenview. And from that point on then, when she was 3, we then transitioned to the Chicago Public School System, and we were very lucky that in our neighborhood there was a preschool. It was Frederick Stock Preschool, and they accommodated special needs children and typical children. And at the ripe old age of 3, Liz was included, and it was just beautiful. The sense of community and the friends that she made in the neighborhood, I couldn't have asked for anything more. But, you know, like Ann said, you know, in the school years, you kind of have a template, and they kind of like show you what is your next step.
Okay.
So we then transitioned to our neighborhood school, Ebinger, which was equally as great. And again, she got to meet a lot of kids in the neighborhood and just be part of the community. At that point, after Ebinger, though, our neighborhood high school was staffed, and it's huge, it's enormous. And we were very concerned about the size of it, but also their special ed department really could have been better. And so we went to the powers that be in the school system, and we asked if we could leave our district. And we provided enough of an argument that they allowed us to go out of district. So we found a school, Louise May Ellicott High School, which, if anybody knows the city, is around Belmont, Clybourne, and Western. And we live all the way on the northwest side. The only issue was, we'll let you come here, but you have to provide your own transportation. They weren't unwilling to do the school bus all the way up that far north. So responsibility fell to us, but we got her back and forth every day for 4 years, and it was an awesome experience. Once again included, they had a wonderful special ed department. But after the 4 years in high school, we then transitioned to CPS's vocational training school.
And for mine, in the bottom.
Right, Jackie Vaughn is the one on the bottom. And that was a very nice program that started working on job skills, behavior skills in the community and especially in the workplace. But, you know, those years went quickly by, too, and we were like, oh, geez, what's next? You know, there was job training and job skills, but what the school didn't provide was...
It's me.
That's you, a job. And we were like, we just didn't think that Liz was ready to be put into a job, totally job environment yet. So, again, using our network and talking to other families and going to other meetings and reading
And
anything,
for everybody knows.
anything that you can get your hands on. We attended a seminar that was advertised in the
Bazaar.
Ups for Downs newsletter, and it was What's Next, Continuing Education. And at that point in time, we found out about Harper College out in Palatine that has a program called the Skills Career Institute. There was also other programs presented, the Elmhurst College, Judson College, the PACE program. They're all wonderful, but it was all, you know, what works best for you and your family. So we found Harper. We loved what was presented at the seminar, and the next thing...
Not to close by St. Michael. Go into the cemetery.
Right, it's across the street from St. Michael's Cemetery.
And then my old friend, Pelody, died.
Right. A friend of ours passed away, and he's buried there. The process was an interview to get Liz in there. So we met with Linda Heck, who is the director of
And Tammy and Sharon.
and Tammy and Sharon, the other teachers, and it was an interview. And then you were told at the end of the interview whether there'd be a good fit, and we were fortunate, and Liz got accepted. I can't say enough good things about the program. It's a 2-year program. Each year there's 15 individuals in the program. The second-year students mentor the first-year students in navigating the campus, eating lunch with them, socializing, showing them the ropes, so to speak.
Wasn't tables and chairs.
Right. But the first year they focus on basic skills, math in the workplace, checkbooks, how to use an ATM, using a calculator, a lot of communication issues, a lot of writing.
And give a speech.
Right, you had to give a speech, communication, public speaking, excuse me. I could use that class.
Computers.
Computers. The first year is really very academic, reading comprehension, homework like you have not seen before, but it was all very good.
It's really excited.
The second year, it really does transition to job. Your social skills in the workplace, job training, job skills. And the first semester, Liz had a lot of interviewing and filling out resumes, making a resume, filling out job applications, I should say. And now, the second semester, and she'll be finishing up in May, they do an internship program where the individuals have a job on campus. So in the morning they go to their job, and then in the afternoon they have lunch, and then they go back to the classroom. They talk about what happened, and they have to write a little report. She graduates May 13th, and I couldn't be more pleased with the program. If anybody had thinking about that, I would highly recommend looking into Harper. If you walk away with nothing, just walk away with build your own network, go out into the community and do everything. We found sports to be very,
The Wolves.
yeah, you were on the Wolves basketball team. We did Special Olympics through a park in our neighborhood.
I did volleyball.
Right, and what I liked about it is the exposure to all the different sports, but then you can also see
You know what?
what they like and don't like, and then follow that, take it one step
If I
farther.
had to do lessons.
Right. Well, it turned out that Liz really liked tennis, and
Buddy up tennis.
we found Buddy Up Tennis,
And skiing with me with my dad.
right, through
He fell twice.
Daddy fell, yeah. Liz didn't, but Mike did. Buddy Up Tennis is another great program that's out there. It originally started with a family, very tennis family, out in Ohio, and they had a son with Down syndrome. And they got this organization going, and now it's spread out more, Ohio, so west, to Illinois. And there's 2 spots in Illinois, and one of them is in Arlington Heights Park District, and the other one is out in the Aurora area. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain freeze as to the suburb it's in. But it's wonderful. It's every other Saturday. Liz is in her 4th year. She volleys, she serves, they have games. If your child...
Ice hockey.
If your child has an interest in tennis, I would really look into this program.
Floor hockey.
The people are wonderful. And like Liz said, we ski. My husband skis a lot better than I do. But we were out at Alpine Valley one afternoon in the winter, and we saw people with physical disabilities skiing.
Mrs. Carlson.
Mr. Carlson is the
And
instructor.
Pat and Pam.
Pat and Pam. And then Mike noticed
Right.
that on a chairlift there was a young man with Down syndrome on the chairlift with his dad, getting off the chairlift without falling and doing a blue run. And we were like, oh my God, how wonderful is that? And so we went back to the house, the ski resort area, and we asked about it. And it turned out
There's the
that
bar.
by the bar.
And the one having a bear get drunk. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
You are a scream.
Sorry.
It turns out that Alpine Valley is the resort that the Southeast Wisconsin Adaptive Ski Program uses for practice and
I'm sorry.
competition. It's okay. So we signed Liz up.
Right.
We don't go with routine because of the distance, and we don't live in Wisconsin. But
Store Lake, Fish Lake.
you can go there.
Feed safe for me and it's no baby.
Okay, stop.
Okay.
You could go there and call ahead and ask if one of the adaptive ski instructors are working and make an appointment. And they do it in hour blocks of time. So what happens is that, well, at least for us, that Liz would ski with either Mr. Carlson, Pat, or Pam, and we would do 2 hours. And they would take her and just do it. And we got it to the point where Mike was able to be on the chairlift with her, and Mike would go down a green slope, which is one of the easier slopes.
Like Goofy on Skin Hill.
Yeah, and Liz pretends she's Goofy on the ski hill from the Disney movie, but it's a very nice program, and they can do it. And then the other big thing for us is our neighborhood, the Niles Family Fitness Center. Again, we were fortunate, but you find out this through networking, that a lot of the instructors, well, a few of the girl instructors were in college to either be occupational therapists, physical therapists.
Mary Stephanie.
So when Liz showed up for swimming lessons, they were like, yes, we'll take her. And we were like, great. So Liz has been swimming at Niles Family ever since she's been 12. And they have gotten her to the point where she does very well in all 4 of the swimming strokes. I guess my point is that get out there, because there's resources that you don't know, but you have to ask. It's just the networking is key.
Sorry.
Oops, there we go.
That's right. Now,
Then
in the play.
Yeah, and social, other than the sports, I can't say enough about the Down Syndrome Center. You guys are great. We have participated in a lot of the little activities that they offer, the art club, game night, the nature club, Zumba. Liz lives for Zumba. It's just
And does it? And my honey first got me on in the church, the
Right.
power and the cross.
Right.
I was in a play. I was come out doing work.
And check your churches. Liz attended religious educations. We're parishioners at St. Paul of the Cross. She participated in religious education. She made her sacraments there. Very, very loving environment. Misericordia has a really nice outreach program.
There's a bakery.
Right. We participated in a few of those things, the dances and the sports that they offer. School, I mean, at Jackie Vaughn and Elcott, there was dances galore. And through Special Olympics in our neighborhood, we met some of the boys in our neighborhood who turned out, and I see one of them in the audience. There's Notre Dame High School for Boys in Niles has the Burke Scholar Program, and we were very fortunate that Liz made friends with some of the boys in the neighborhood who attended that. And
They're being mean to me.
but she got to go to Notre Dame junior dances, proms, and everything, and it was just a lovely, lovely crowd. And then we also hooked up with Special Gifts Theater, found out about Special Gifts.
I was Belle, Beauty, in the Beast.
Right.
I was
Through,
Bertha in the play. Fight, mate.
Liz participated
In the play.
3 plays. She was in Shrek. She was the fairy godmother. She was Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
And Bertha.
And Berta in Cinderella, who was one of the upstairs chambermaids. But really, read your NADS newsletters, read the Ups for Downs newsletters. All these little things you find in there are pearls. And I can't
I'm
say
just
enough about
hurt.
family. We're fortunate. We have a lot of cousins,
So this
same age.
family.
Liz's younger sister. I think that
My cousins, Maggie and Lee.
right. I think of all
We
the activities.
it happened to her bake.
Right, you were helping Auntie Cindy bake. But I think Liz's most
It's Thanksgiving.
enjoyable thing is going out with her family. She loves it when her sister comes home. She's away at school, but they get in the car, they go, they pick up their cousins, they go shopping, they have lunch, and you just can't say enough about the family inclusion and giving
That's me
social.
with my grandpa
And there's Grandpa for his birthday.
birthday. He's on 88 years old. Now he's 89.
Now he's 89, right? And volunteering.
He's kind of young man.
The volunteering, going back to Harper during the summer, like I said, there is homework galore. They keep these people on their toes. But Liz had to email her teachers twice a week to let them know what she's doing. And she also had to do a volunteer project.
And that
And she had
and
to
that
write-
garden toilet the flowers.
and she had to write about it. So we hooked up with St. Paul of the Cross again because they have, during the summer, a community garden. And so we bought a box, and we grew zucchini
Peppers
and peppers.
and squash.
But that was her volunteer project. But the commitment to go there and to prepare the soil, plant, and water, and harvest,
And I've been things like that.
which was a wonderful volunteer project, and it kind of piggybacked onto the nature club that Liz was involved in at the Down Syndrome Center, and we ended up also volunteering at the Down Syndrome Center, and Liz would water the garden after Zumba during the week, which was great because it allowed me to see how she independently can do things. And then on that note, we volunteer at Misericordia during the holiday season. We do about 6 hours a week, starting the week of Thanksgiving through the week of Christmas, and we work in the bakery. And we kind of make it a family event. My sister goes, my sister-in-law, Liz,
And her friend Colin Connor.
and my friend Colleen. And
And
It's
Nancy.
nice- it's nice to
And Nancy
see
Olsen.
how she followed directions and how the different steps of the baking process she was able to do, and mostly that she liked it. she really walked
Like the
away
best effort
feeling-
of my life.
she walked away feeling like she got something done. So what's next for us? Well, when we were at Vaughan, they connected us to the Jewish Vocational Service centers. Okay, and you work with them for job placement. And we're presently also working with Teaching Together Chicago, which is a program that the Archdiocese have that you can be placed in a parish and you can work at the school or the church. And so we are, actually, we have an interview coming up in the next couple of weeks. She's going to get back to us for a parish in our neighborhood. And that would be lovely because Liz, I think, would be working
It's be wonderful.
with the preschool kids. So I'm talking a lot. I just put down some resources, but I'm sure that it's in the brochure that Grace and Ann are passing out. But just don't underestimate the power of going out there and talking to other families because most of the stuff that we have done, I found out from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace.
Okay, next I would like to introduce Jenna and Annette. You guys can come on up. Richards. This is Jenna. She's 22 years old. She grew up with her mom and dad and two sisters in Oak Lawn. Her two sisters are here as well on the south side of Chicago. She comes from a large extended family and is very involved in the Oak Lawn Special Rec program, right? So she's currently working at Little Something Extra Bakery.
Yes.
Okay, take it away. Whoops.
Well, first I would like to thank Grace and everyone here at the Adult Down Syndrome Clinic for asking us to present today. And I just wanted to start with this power presentation that Jenna actually made herself when she was transitioning out of the high school adult transition program. So if you're noticing that a font might be different or a picture might be different, we wanted to keep it all intact so that you knew that this was her ending program that she presented at her last IEP meeting. Yep, I got it. Okay.
Thank you. I got it now. Go. I'm sorry. It's all about me. People who help me. Oh. Sorry. Oh, no. That's it? All right, now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, I think you just have to.
You have to click on it.
I just click it.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's fine.
How about let's just do this then?
Yeah.
And then you just click the down arrow when you're ready for the next one, okay? Click that one.
Yes, I got it. It is all about me. My name is Jenna Richards. And people who would help me. My mom or my dad, my sisters, my aunts and my cousins. My interests, playing basketball and volleyball, listening to the music by Glee, hang out with my friends, hang out with my sisters and my cousins, travel to Florida and Florida, and Lisa Neva. And I do Rule by Alice in Wonderland. Things that are easy for me: make my bed, doing laundry, clean my room, making my be with my cousins, cleaning in kitchen, making lunches, making healthy choices, winterizing with my friends. Those are things that are not easy for me. Traveling alone, math, making phone calls to appointments, start something without being asked. My favorite food is hamburgers. My favorite restaurant is Culver's. My sport team is White Sox. My drink is Dr. Pepper. And plans for my futures are: I want to live with my boyfriend, but I know that I will need help with doing things and paying for things. I still work at Little International Bakery. My future, what I do at work to be fun. I like to go to my cousin's house, babysit. What I do when I go to work. I went to work in a hospital. This is how people describe me. People are happy, kind, helpful, hard worker. Thank you. Your other questions? Yes.
You and my daughter, Lucy, seem to have a lot in common. And I'm not good at math. And I just wondered maybe afterwards if we could get your contact information.
Yes.
My sister is the only family I'm here. I can see when you're doing great. Yeah, I like it.
Yes, one question? Why quit with skating? Why? I like skiing all the time, but I hit my body in ice. I used to work in the bakery, but because I work in the baking with my owner, like doing dishes or sweeping or mopping, but take orders, what? Give money to people. Yes. Sorry. Math or science. Sorry.
Okay, so we will now, Annette, Jenna's mom is going to come and do her little presentation, and we'll have maybe a little bit of time afterwards for questions. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Well, hi, my name is Annette Richards, and I'm Jenna's mom. And I thought I'd start off with a little bit of an overview of Jenna's life. The story begins, she was born on May 11th, 1996. Like many of our children with Down syndrome, she had her share of health issues. She had open heart surgery at 6 months old. She had 3 repairs. She had an ASD, a VSD, and a coarctation of the aorta, which some of you may have heard of. She was hospitalized a few times for pneumonia, hospitalized a few times for RSV. But once we seemed to get past that period, as we entered into the early intervention program, this is where Jenna seemed to thrive. We started out at the Good Shepherd Center, which is located in Homewood Flossmoor in the southwest area. She received physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and music therapy. But not only was it a good resource for us for Jenna, it was also a good parent support system for myself. I was able to go there 3 times a week and speak to other parents who were going through the same things that we were going through as part of, having your first child with Down syndrome. As Jenna's childhood progressed, Jenna went into the school district. It was the Oaklawn Hometown School District in Oaklawn, Illinois, on the southwest side. Jenna was placed in a self-contained classroom for most of the day, but she was included in different areas such as gym, art, and choir. And she actually thrived in the choir, so that was a good thing for us. It was another special added thing for the educational process. She did receive related services in the school district, which was wonderful. She received occupational therapy, speech therapy, and a social work group. I really pushed for the speech therapy because I found that that's where Jenna needed the most work. I also took her to St. Xavier University that offers a speech clinic, and she went there 1 day a week as well, an hour each week. So it seemed to help her, and my biggest fear was I wanted everyone to be able to understand her. So as far as Jenna's social life, she has a better social life than probably many of us here. She does for myself as well. Jenna participates in Special Olympic sports. She participates in volleyball, basketball. The volleyball happens to be unified volleyball, where there's 3 adults and 3 children with a disability on the team, and her sister, who's here today, participates on that team with Jenna. So it's been a great opportunity for her to have that opportunity with her sisters and to also have fun with all of her friends. Jenna has participated in the Mother McCauley High School Summer Theater Camp program. Both of her 2 sisters attended Mother McCauley High School in Chicago, so Jenna also wanted to be included. She always wanted to go to school with her sisters, but obviously she could not. So this was a nice way for our family to be able to include Jenna in with her sisters, because they also participated in that same theater program. Jenna was also able to be included with cheerleading when her sisters were at St. Linus Catholic School. She was able to participate, and she was able to cheer at all of the basketball or football games that her sisters were able to participate in. So our community really has embraced Jenna and has offered many, many programs for her and activities that she can be included in along with everyone in our family. As Jenna made her way through the school district system, she went into the adult transition program, and this was scary for our family at first because we didn't know what to expect. Obviously, we know that our children are going to go through the school system, but we don't know what's at the end of the road. We don't know what to expect. But we belong to a great school district, thank goodness, and that's one of the reasons why we stayed in the district we were in, which is School District 218 in Oaklawn as well. They have a great adult transition program where not only did they focus on academics, which was reading and English and math and science and reading comprehension, but they also taught them great vocational skills. So as they were in their everyday classroom, they actually had an apartment set up for them to participate, and they were able to clean the apartment. They made the beds. There was 2 bedrooms. There was laundry and so forth. So they were able to participate in that. So that has really helped Jenna thrive. Jenna's jobs at the Adult Transition Program included the Doubletree Hotel, which is in Alsip, Illinois. She cleaned, she folded laundry, and she helped set up for the many banquets that they had. She also worked at Moraine Valley Community College, which she helped clean there as well, and she also stocked all of the food in the cafeteria. And a few times I caught Jenna's debit card being used, as she would buy a few things for herself while she was there. The last job that Jenna had, which she loved because she loves little children, was Penny Lane Preschool. So she was an assistant to the director and many of the preschool teachers there, and she assisted with making the children's beds for nap time, folding their laundry, taking them to the washroom, and just being an extra hand. Where is Jenna now? Like I said, Jenna probably does more than most of us in this room. A big part of Jenna's life is the Oak Lawn Special Recreation Program, which offers many, many programs to our children, which has been great. She's in a teen club, which her activities, she does volleyball. They go to movies, they go to the IMAX theater, they go to Navy Pier. So every Friday and Saturday, Jenna pretty much has something to do. She's also involved, like I said before, in basketball, volleyball, bowling, and the biggest thing that we always tried to stress was for her to be involved in the Fit and Fun exercise class. Recently, Jenna became a member of the Down in the Southland group, which is in Tinley Park in the musical production. It begins next weekend, and Jenna has the lead role as Alice in Alice in Wonderland. And she's also still working at Little Something Extra, which she mentioned. Starting in a few weeks, she's going to be a volunteer at Advocate Christ Children's Hospital. She's going to be working in the NICU unit. She's going to be help in the office. She's going to be collating papers, stapling. She's going to be folding the baby's laundry. She's going to be delivering books and pamphlets to the parents that are there. She's going to be washing the toys that are there. So they're going to keep her pretty busy. She also volunteers at the Ronald McDonald House with myself and a friend of mine. And it's been a great opportunity for us to get to know a lot of the parents, because a lot of the parents there have had children with heart defects or children with Down syndrome. So once they see Jenna, it's kind of a nice opportunity that they can see that their babies can make it as far as Jenna has made it to today. Jenna's future, we want to continue with her having a meaningful employment like she is right now with the bakery. We're crossing our fingers that that stays true for a while. We're continuing to, expand her volunteer opportunities, just as we did now with her volunteering at the Advocate Children's Hospital, which she's very excited about. And we do want to progress her in her independent living skills. So we like to keep her as independent as possible. Jenna does stay sometimes one day a week all by herself. And she has a daily routine that she follows, and she calls me up when it's time for lunch. We go through. A lot of the time it's making a sandwich, or it's putting something in a microwave. I don't have her do anything on the stove yet while I'm not there, but she seems to really like that independence. We had talked about trying to set her up with trying to use an Uber. As you know, there's been a lot of talk in the news that there's been some issues with Uber, but we may try to explore that down the line. As far as her future living goes, we have talked to Jenna many times about the possibility of her living in a community integrated living arrangement, or living with her parents and sisters. And at this time, Jenna would like to stay with her parents and her sisters. And I think that concludes our presentation. Did anyone have any questions? Or yes. She's working at a place, it's called A Little Something Extra. So they have employed Jenna there. She was the first person to be employed with a disability. The owners of the bakery also have a son with a disability, and he has Down syndrome as well. Right. Right. Are you? Good for you. Oh, great.
Any other questions? We went kind of late, so if anyone, lunch is being served, anybody can go ahead, but we'll stick around.
Yeah.
I'll make this very quick. Can you all hear me? And I think my message is mostly for the parents here. But as a parent, you all have connections. I have a 59-year-old Down syndrome son. He's really more like a 70, 75-year-old. He's got some, he uses a walker and so forth. So he says he's in retirement mode. And my wife and I are in a retirement village, so in Orland Park. By the way, he worked 23 years volunteering at Good Shepherd in Flossmoor years back, working with 3 and 4-year-olds. And he's had a multitude of jobs in his life. And I don't say this to brag. I just say that to point out that you parents have connections. As I say, he volunteered 23 years at Good Shepherd. All these jobs I'm going to mention, I helped him get. He worked 4 years as a volunteer at a Catholic grade school. He worked at McDonald's. He worked at a Culver's. I I went in one day to see a manager at a Culver's, and I said, I'd like for you to think about my son. I said, I'll bring him in for lunch next week, and I did. So I was having a cup of coffee and eating with the manager, and Kevin walked around and cleaned some tables. So the guy said, well, he knows what to do. So he worked there for a number of years. I think sometimes as parents, we're afraid the kids will fail. I don't know about you, but I had more than one job in my working career. We went into McDonald's after volunteering at the Catholic grade school, and I was bugging the manager about, well, why don't you think about hiring Kevin? Well, one day the woman said, bring him in next week. I think they had a campaign on to hire handicapped people, so it worked out. And I think sometimes our people, we decide that they're going to like working in a workshop. Kevin was in a workshop in Chicago Heights, a place called South Star. I was president of the board for a number of years, on the board for a lot of years. And many times they're kind of destined to go and work in putting nuts and bolts together and stuff like that. And I don't know about some of you parents, but I don't like doing that either. Kevin would say he likes to talk to people. So I think sometimes we should help them find jobs. And as parents, we have connections. And I'm not afraid to be turned down. I used to sell insurance. So I can walk in, and if I'm rejected, so what? And you just go on to the next place. And as I say, I think as this family has done, they've helped get their daughter out into the world. So I'll hang up.
Are there any other questions? Okay, on your way out, we do have a lot of resources here, so please grab the handouts. Thank you, everybody.